Spend and be spent for the gospel is a theme that has stuck with Professor Lucas since Commission 1991. It was in this commission that his call to sacrifice for the Scottish people was confirmed. This is a story of Africa to Scotland.
So that goes back to my childhood. The first church I attended was a Church of Scotland, and some of the missionaries were still in the country then. There were Anglican missionaries and Scottish Church of Scotland missionaries, and I used to visit them. I used to do a lot of translation when I was quite young, and it got so exciting, and I really wanted to know more where they came from. I still thought faith was still very vibrant outside the country. And because of engaging so much with missionaries, there was a big event in the UK called the International Charismatic Conference on World Evangelization. So I was appointed when I was only 20 years, in 1988, to go and attend this conference that was coming up. We were fully sponsored to go for that. While I was in the UK, the Archbishop of Kenya, the late Manasseh Kuria, said, no, we need Lucas back to train him and get him to do some work in Kenya before we can send him out. So I came back from the UK, and as I've told you, I had been already attending before that. I'd been attending Ezra conferences. So the Commission 91 was advertised. Remember, this time I'm not really grounded on any ministry. I've been to the UK and I'm back in Kenya. So when I went to Kenyatta University, where the focus Commission 91 was happening, preacher after preacher appealed to my life, and they spoke so deeply into my spirit, and I said, it's cut. So I didn't know how to start the process, although it was defined nicely, the different mission agencies that were really involved. There was a guy who was Ugandan who really just got a lot of interest with me. He was called Zach Nyaringe. He ended up becoming a bishop, but before that he was in the UK. And through the Church Mission Society, I was able to get that opportunity to go to the United Kingdom, and that's how the ministry started. Then when I went back to Glasgow, I met with one of our senior leaders. He was an ordained minister who worked under me. He was called Reverend Fraser Oxton. And he read me a scripture which says, Jesus said, I came to set fire on earth. I wish it was already kindled. And basically the message was that God has come to set fire. And that's what we were called to do in Scotland, to set fire. For people who had left Scotland many years ago, come to Kenya and given so much. They had given their life, they had given their resources, they had given everything. But some of them died here, so they didn't take anything back to their country. And now the faith had declined. By the year 2022, church attendance had gone down to about 1.8% of about 5.5 million people. People who confessed Christians were less than 50%. And you could really see most of those who say they are Christian is just because they were baptized or they were brought up in a church. And so I got that burden, and I created a group to pray and to fast. So that's how the Fire for Scotland was established in my spirit. But besides the Fire for Scotland being established, God started to show me clearly how he wanted it done. And the first thing was to create a passion for people in Kenya, first of all to appreciate what Scotland is like. And then to know that when you go there, you're not going there for material things, because the material things are there, but they are not benefiting even the local people. You still have serious mental health, a lot of different illnesses, terminal kind of cases. You have old age, and that's prevalent within the whole country. You find that you're having an aging population, and therefore the challenges that come with that. And so my conviction was to create that awareness, start to encourage people to think how they can raise their own support locally and go back to Scotland and give, not to go and receive, to purely go with a mind of giving. And then third, the churches were being sold, the left, right, and center. Some of them were becoming pubs, others they were becoming museums, others were becoming, just think anything, they would convert them into residential accommodation. And in my spirit, I felt the Lord is saying, you need to start recovering these buildings for me. And when I was about to start thinking about money, God told me, it's not about you, and it's not about your money. These are my buildings. I bought them. My people invested in them. As I was praying, the first church opened so miraculously. A gentleman that I had met within less than a month, who was now my tenant, who had given me a lease for a big office block. And this lease, he had given me a free 1 year to use the building. It's like God was preparing the fire for Scotland. Then he happened to have already bought a church. So that was the first church we bought in Scotland. Then he got on fire. He's not a Christian, but he got on fire of getting me churches. So today I can show you a list of so many churches that are available. Some of them still on sale in the market. Others maybe we might have lost them, but the opportunity I'm talking about is a massive opportunity for acquiring the churches. My vision is that these churches could then be revived as Christian worship centers, but they can also be used as retreat centers, they can be used as educational centers, they can be used as pilgrimage centers. And people who are professional missionaries, short-term experience in ministry, can go into these places and become a presence, not so much to win the people to the Lord, which is good, but also to become a Christian presence. At least young people who have never heard about Jesus, they have never seen what it looks like to be a Christian. They've been born a whole generation, 2 generations, without real faith confession. They can start seeing Christianity being lived out in a golf course, in a football pitch, in a cinema hall, and yes, they can also have a taste of what it is like. So what we are trying to do is to create a burden, but we have structured the process so that people who show interest, they go through a process where we then support them to really understand what does it look like to do a reverse mission where places where people already knew the gospel and all that. So we have formed groups, and they're just small groups of 6. So these are intercessory groups where then we communicate to those leaders and give them information. The information on how to apply for your visas or your passports, where to stay when you come to Scotland, what it's going to cost, but also the support that we can give, especially to students who really feel they are called, they want to spend 6 months, 1 year after graduation in UK, in Scotland in particular. So we have structures that are in place. We have a mission director, we have a compliance officer who will help with all the processes of visa application and all that. The way we have put it, we want it to be a very kind of structured process. And then behind you, we put supporters. They may not know you, but if you're going for a year, we might want to have 2,000 people giving 1,000 shillings a month, or rather whatever period of time to cover your budget. Because we don't want people to arrive in the UK, it's too cold, they have no food, and then they start doing anything they're asked to do. We want to make sure that our missionaries get there in dignity. But we're also asking people who are retiring, we're asking people at other levels to participate, because I can afford to sponsor myself and maybe sponsor a student who will be more active in outreach than me, and I'll be more wise in giving them counsel. So we'll be pairing maybe golfers who just want to go and golf, but carry one graduate from one of the universities with you. Let him be your candy, but leave him preaching the gospel and pay something to help him, maybe an air ticket or something like that. So we want to be very creative on how Fire for Scotland is going to impact. And we don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to go to the Scottish people and say, we have come to save you, we have come to change your life. No, we are coming as friends. We are coming as grandchildren. The way grandchildren go to the shags to meet their grannies, and they appreciate them when they are there. They go and fetch water and do the things that grandchildren do. That's what we want to do. We want to be grandchildren back to Scotland, giving Scotland what Scotland needs. They're not forcing anything through the throat, but prayerfully attracting people to the love and the fear of the Lord.